The Durham Report has been released, over 300 pages. It took 4 years to write. It confirms what we all knew. In fact, a lot of what Bob Mueller said, he just said it in a different way, which was that there was no collusion. There was no even evidence of collusion, that the FBI failed to do their job when they even got this information about the Steele dossier and all of that by looking at who it came from, the Clinton campaign. And, of course, the fact that they couldn't corroborate any of it.
We knew from the outset that there was nothing there. We used to make the argument when we were representing the former president that within 2 months of Crossfire Hurricane opening, they knew there was no Russian collusion. In 2 months, they knew that there was no Russian collusion. Now we find out, which is not shocking again to us, that they knew there should have never been an investigation in the first place, that the basis upon which this investigation was entered was not even in compliance with the normal rules and regulations of the Department of Justice. And they lay the blame squarely on Andy McCabe, who was the, at one point, acting FBI director, and Peter Strzok. Peter Strzok, who famously, Bob Mueller had his phone wiped clean before it was sent over to Congress. Before, as we asked for documents, they wiped it clean, did not exist. This was the example, the prime example of the government trying to take down a sitting president and trying to stop his nomination before it started.
If there is something to take from this in the most positive way, it's that the American people have this a healthy distrust right now of these agencies, and we don't buy that whole attack that you can't question them and you're somehow not a good American or you're somehow not patriotic if you question the CIA or question the FBI's actions now. In fact, I think our starting point is where it should be, like the Durham Report found, that should they even be investigating what they're talking about? Like, do they even have a basis to investigate when they announce these things? And why they need to go back and focus on real criminals, real criminal elements and organizations, and stop what it seems like that is just their obsession with politics. I mean, that's the part that is so upsetting to people is they are obsessed with our politics and who we elect, not the bad guys, not the what we kind of understand as criminal activity.
No, you're right. And I think the problem with that is that they have politicized the agency to a degree we've never seen before. But the other problem with this is the idea that the FBI is meddling into politics in the United States of America should send shockwaves and chills up everybody's spine. This is such an abusive process. And Durham was a career prosecutor. He had no political axe to grind here. He said the report is sobering and somber because of the nature of what actually took place here.
Justice delayed is justice denied. It took 4 years. I declassified a whole bunch of information at the request of Durham. I am frustrated that it took so long, and that at the end of the day, the FBI reads the report and issues a statement saying, oh, mistakes were made, but we cleaned it up. I'm sorry, but they didn't clean it up. They didn't even admit that they were making mistakes until recently. This is like, somebody who gets caught being a drunk and then immediately says to the judge in a DUI case, oh, I've already gone through treatment, everything is fine. No, you got to prove to us that there were wholesale changes at the FBI. This is, I want to see prosecutions. I want to see firings. Andrew McCabe got his pension back. These were not an admitted mistakes and fixers. This is a disaster. This is still a problem. And I don't see any evidence that we've cleaned it up.
We already knew from Mueller they had nothing. So I don't know that you got another full vindication for Donald Trump. I mean, he's adding them up pretty quickly, Logan.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the main factor that came from this is that, silence is kind of golden here. When you look at sort of the networks, they're not really sure how to cover this. They'll do it for a few minutes and kind of move on because, like you said, it's stuff we already knew.
Yeah.
But now it's just official.
What we need at the federal level is a reform of the institutions. And I think that we could, Congress, this one's not going to do it, but a Congress that was unified on reform could, at the one time, assist a president in draining that swamp and also put more safeguards in place, like laws that make it clearly a crime to do these activities. And now you have a basis to enact those laws. There's a reason to put those laws on the books because we've seen it happen so that those people know they won't just get a slap on the wrist or maybe get fired, but that they will be criminally prosecuted, and here's the statute. And they know it.